In the third year of the apocalypse, Huanyu was framed by her family and died. Fortunately, God opened her eyes and allowed her to live a new life. 2 months before the end of the world, she met her long-lost brother, holding space and hoarding millions of supplies. When the end of the world came again, she sharpened her knife and one by one dealt with the white-eyed wolves who had framed her in her past life. There was revenge and resentment, and no one let go. When others struggled to survive in the apocalypse, she lay on the sofa, blowing the air conditioning while eating potato chips and watching TV dramas. When others were starving, she and her brother happily cooked hot pot and ate grilled meat at home. When others are struggling to resist natural disasters, she sleeps soundly and wakes up to play video games. Later on, during a trip, she encountered a well-behaved and clever clingy sperm that she couldn't shake off. Sticky sperm doesn't speak much, always blinking their clean eyes, saying one by one. Sister, sister, key words of the novel. In the beginning of the apocalypse, I rely on hoarding to achieve a satisfying gaming experience without pop-ups. In the beginning of the apocalypse, I rely on hoarding to achieve a satisfying gaming experience. Download the complete text. In the beginning of the apocalypse, I rely on hoarding to achieve a satisfying gaming experience. Read the latest chapter. Chapter 1. Returning to the eve of the apocalypse. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Returning to the eve of the apocalypse in the third year of the apocalypse. Huanyu's body was already riddled with wounds and holes, and countless mutated insects, cockroaches, and ants were gradually eroding her. Youyi, help me. Help me. Ainen. Huanyu used all her strength to seek help from people not far away. I only heard Youyi hurriedly say, Sister Yen, Brother Ainen, let's take advantage of all those bugs on Huanyu and leave quickly. Zhou Jingnan followed suit and said, Youyi is right. He then called out to everyone, everyone, hurry up. If she dies, we can live. Follow everyone, don't worry about Huanyu, it's her fault for falling in. Huanyu's widened pupils were filled with a hint of hatred. That's her beloved sister and the person she loves the most, how could she say such heartless words? And the one who just pushed her down was Shinqian, her best friend. For 3 whole years in the apocalypse, she went through life and death for the 3 of them. Despite the cold weather, drought, and high temperatures, and the flooding of rain, she would come out to find food for them to eat. When faced with danger, she is always the one behind the mat. When she finds food and supplies, she also eats them and uses them the least. But in the end, they treated themselves like this. Zhou Jingnan tightly held Shinqian's hand and ran further and further. Shinqian fell, and he immediately picked her up and continued to run forward. At the last glance, she saw Shinqian sneering at her and proudly kissing Zhou Jingnan. Huanyu is gradually losing consciousness, no. She is unwilling, why did she suffer so badly? She wants revenge. She wants revenge. Suddenly. As soon as Huanyu opened her eyes, the familiar ceiling caught her eye. She sat up from the bed, and those events were vivid in her mind. The pain made her body tremble uncontrollably. She was panting heavily, her whole body being eroded by sweat, and the tears on her face couldn't stop. Looking around, what's going on? Aren't you dead? How could it appear here? The time on the phone shows July 1st, 2099, and the hail started on September 1st, 2099. Has she been reborn? Reborn 2 months before the end of the world. Looking at her familiar home, watching groups of children playing outside the window in the community, and looking at her phone for a while, Huanyu finally confirmed that she was reborn. Sure enough, God opened his eyes. Let her be reborn. In the previous life, she died in the third year of the apocalypse, at the hands of her closest loved ones, with no bones left. But in this life, she will definitely live well. Take revenge, take revenge. Never be merciful to anyone again. The most important thing now is to survive in the apocalypse, so we must stock up. Ah, it would be great if the space came with me, Huanyu murmured to herself, thinking about entering the space again. The next second, she immediately appeared in a large warehouse. Good guy, the space really came along. The space is approximately over 10,000 square meters, with a total of 3 floors. Huanyu is extremely happy. This space was obtained by chance in her previous life in the second year of the apocalypse, but at that time food was already scarce and not very useful, but now it is different. Huanyu washed her face, ordered a bowl of luocefen, and immediately went to the master bedroom to find the house property certificate. 5 years ago, her parents passed away, leaving behind this duplex building and 500,000 yuan in funds for her. However, at that time, she was only 13 years old, and her money and house were undoubtedly taken over by her uncles and aunts. After her uncles and aunts moved in with their daughter, they made her live like an outsider, living a life under the fence of a sojourner. *** Thank you, my dear friends, for reading request for counting tickets update time. Update 4 chapters every day at 0.5. Speaking to me with typos, end of this chapter. Chapter 2. Crazy Loans. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Crazy Loans. Huanyu quickly went to the bank and told them that she wanted a loan. She filled out a loan application form worth 10 million yuan. In the land and money-rich Tanzhou, their community is not far from the city center, and the housing prices have all risen to over 50,000 yuan. Huanyu's information is very complete and was quickly processed, but the bank said that the fastest loan would be within a week, and she could afford to wait for it. But since the property certificate does not need to be kept in the bank for safekeeping, it means that you can still go to the loan company. Huanyu figured it out and then went online to find a loan company. The people over there learned that they wanted to borrow 10 million yuan and made several phone calls. They also personally drove to pick up Huanyu and go to their company. It's just that this company doesn't seem very formal, but it's not a big problem, as long as you have money. Time was tight, so Huanyu didn't hesitate and said directly, "Boss, I want 10 million yuan. I must pay today. This is my parents' house, worth 12 million yuan. The loan company saw such a cheerful person for the first time, and it was still a little girl. They looked at each other for a moment, then quickly took the property certificate and carefully examined it. "Boss, this community is not far from the city center, and the housing prices have already risen to over 50,000 yuan, and it's still on the rise. This transaction is worth a lot of money," whispered the younger brother as he approached the boss. Cough cough cough. The boss coughed lightly, feeling a bit puzzled. "Little girl, do you know the interest rate of our company? If you borrow 10 million yuan, you will have to repay 15 million yuan, and why do you need so much money as a little girl?" Huanyu smiled happily and said, "My boyfriend is going to start a business, and I must help him. He has said that when he earns money, he will marry me and redeem the house. I will be doing laundry, cooking, and having children for her at home in the future." The boss almost choked on a sip of tea and looked at Huanyu. The little girl was quite beautiful, but her eyes were clear and foolish. Did she just graduate from college? "Little girl. Boss, why are you talking so much? Will you give it or not? I have to go back and cook for my boyfriend later, otherwise he will be angry if he doesn't have food to eat when he comes home." Huanyu looked impatient. The boss hesitated for a moment and said, "Little girl, we don't have that much at the moment, at most 7 million. The boss has been in society for so many years, so it's best to handle this kind of little girl. He can give a maximum of 8 million today." Huanyu looked conflicted and said, "That's too little. I've agreed with my boyfriend to pay 10 million, otherwise he would definitely not be happy. What if he gets angry?" The boss sneered from the bottom of his heart. This little girl has a boyfriend after another, it seems like she has been deceived. And Su Huanyu's psychological activity is that this bald guy is really riding a fire to rob. The two of them negotiated and eventually signed a contract for 8.5 million yuan. Although the boss was malicious, he was indeed very efficient in handling things, and in no time, he received 8.5 million yuan. The boss squinted his eyes. This little girl is really handsome and has a good figure. If there's a chance, he looked at the property certificate on the table again. Anyway, this is more than buying and selling. He can make a steady profit without losing anything. If the little girl can't afford it, he has ways to make her pay it back. And that little girl is also worth a lot of money all over her body. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Crazy Stockpiling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Crazy Stockpiling. After receiving 8.5 million yuan, Su Huanyu began hoarding goods. But before hoarding, she definitely won't be able to go back to her home, and she needs to rent a warehouse specifically so that she can buy things and have them delivered directly. Su Huanyu took a taxi to Xiangqing Shuixi, a high-end residential area in the city center. On the high-rise floors of this community, you can see most of Tanzhou. In the taxi, Su Huanyu had a sudden idea and went to various loan apps to apply for loans. Su Huanyu found an intermediary company to rent a house with 4 bedrooms, 2 living rooms, and 2 bathrooms. I rented a large remote warehouse again, which doesn't even have a camera. Subsequently, Su Huanyu went directly to the rice factory. "Little girl, who are you looking for?" the security guard stopped and asked, looking at Su Huanyu, who was only 15 or 16 years old, thinking she was looking for her parents. "Uncle, I'll buy rice," Su Huanyu smiled and added, "I want to buy 20 tons of rice." A salesperson happened to pass by, and upon hearing these words, he immediately stopped and said, "Little girl, are you serious?" "Of course, my family is going to open a chain supermarket and I need to buy more. In addition to rice, I also need millet, glutinous rice, black rice, purple rice, and all kinds of round, flat, and long rice." The salesperson quickly pulled Su Huanyu to the company, poured tea, and waited patiently, while urging his subordinates to quickly make the contract. Except for buying 20 tons of rice, the rest of the rice was 10 tons. Su Huanyu gave the money very generously and also provided the address for them to deliver it tomorrow. Later, I went to a nearby oil factory and received 100,000 barrels of various oils, including yellow shepherd's purse oil, sesame oil, rapeseed oil, soybean oil, melon seed oil, corn oil, peanut oil, etc. There are also various condiments, such as salt, soy sauce, vinegar, cooking wine, sweet flour paste, bean paste, fermented soybeans, tomato paste, sesame paste, salad sauce, white sugar, rock sugar, brown sugar, pepper, Chinese prickly ash, star anise, sesame leaf, cinnamon, pepper, cumin, fennel, 5-spice powder, curry, fermented bean curd, chopped pepper, pickled pepper, starch, monosodium glutamate, chicken essence, oyster sauce, and so on, which cost more than 100,000 yuan. And various types of flour, buckwheat, rye, wheat, corn, soybeans, white flour, etc. were all stocked up with 10 tons each. When taking a taxi, Su Huanyu went crazy again and bought various leisure snacks, daily necessities, etc. on Taobao, Dongdong, and PXX, all of which were directly sold out by the shop owner. Later on, I went to the fruit wholesale market and directly bought 500,000 yuan for bananas, cantaloupes, watermelons, cantaloupes, grapes, grapefruits, durians, passion fruit, figs, avocados, grapefruits, lemons, oranges, apples, hawthorn, kumquats, peaches, kiwi fruit, coconuts, yangtao, cherries, and so on. I also bought a lot of seeds and seedlings, fruits, vegetables, various flowers and plants, as well as big and small trees. Su Huanyu has been busy all day without even sitting down, and WeChat messages have long been bombarded. Upon opening, Shenqian has the most information, and now it is summer vacation. Shenqian, Su Youyi, and Zhou Jingnan went to Disney. The reason why she didn't go was because her uncle and aunt didn't pay, so she couldn't go. Shenqian sent herself another intimate photo with Zhou Jingnan. It's really funny. Why was she so blind before? It's hard to tell that the two of them have any tricks. But Su Huanyu doesn't have time to seek revenge from them now. The end is coming soon. Oh, you three can enjoy your last moments. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Encountering Dr. Chi by chance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Encountering Dr. Chi by chance. Soon, she will return everything she has endured to them. Seeing Su Huanyu not replying to messages, Shenqian was not very happy and coquettishly said, "What is Xiaoyu doing? She hasn't replied to messages, brother Anan. She's not angry because she didn't come to Disney, is she?" Su Youyi ate Bingtanghulu and sneered, "Sister Yen, what can my sister do? She must have gone to work, otherwise she would not have found the tuition fees for the next semester." Ha ha ha. The three of them thought about it and didn't want to continue having fun anymore. After a tiring day, Su Huanyu flaunted 3 bowls of rice at night, and then propped up her stomach and went to the big supermarket. Su Huanyu put instant noodles, cookies, bread, canned goods, various snacks, frozen and refrigerated items all into the cart, making passers-by inevitably take a second look. After an hour, Su Huanyu pushed 5 full carts to the cashier. In fact, she could still buy, but buying too many would inevitably raise suspicion. She couldn't pick up so many things, so she asked, "May I ask if it's possible to deliver them to your doorstep? I'll pay an additional delivery fee." "Okay, could you please leave an address so that our delivery person can deliver it to you when they come back," said the cashier. "I bought these things for over 10,000 yuan, and after Su Huanyu paid, she was ready to go back and rest well. There are still many things to buy next, and she needs to go back and make a list. What is more important is to prepare all kinds of disaster protection equipment, rainstorm, flood, drought, tornado, snow disaster, more than 100 degrees below zero, insect plague, virus, which are all her personal experiences in the end of life. Everything is enough to kill her, this time she should be well prepared." Su Huanyu lives on the 31st floor at 3102, and she has been scrolling through videos of how to survive in the apocalypse in the elevator. She didn't notice a pair of curious eyes staring at her from behind, then at her phone screen. Ding! The elevator door opened, and just as she was leaving, the person inside the elevator spoke, "Miss Su, is this the end of the world coming?" Su Huanyu was startled and looked up. Dr. Chi, it was Dr. Chi Su, the gastroenterologist who treated her last month. She vaguely remembered that in the previous life, when she was about to starve to death, Chi Su split a mantu in 2 and gave him half of it. Later, he gave himself a down jacket in the extremely cold weather, but Shenqian stole it. Chi Su even told himself that if he wanted to survive in the end of the world, he should not care about others, let alone find food for others even if he couldn't eat well himself. "But I was stupid, I didn't even understand at that time." Before Su Huanyu could say anything, the elevator door had already closed and she pursed her lips, but why did Dr. Chi ask so? But she remembered when she saw Dr. Chi in the 3rd year of the apocalypse, he was still as clean and tidy as before, full of energy, and handsome. However, Su Huanyu couldn't care too much for now. When she got home, she immediately took a comfortable bath, thinking about some safety measures such as air raid shelters and protective fortresses. She probably wouldn't need them herself, but she needed to reinforce the front door and change the glass to thick glass. After searching for several videos on Douyin, she found a local construction company and made an appointment to come to her home tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock to reinforce the front door. Suddenly, several videos popped up on WeChat, all of which were called by Shenqian, but they were all hung up by Su Huanyu. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Continuing to hoard. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 5. Continuing to hoard quickly, Zhou Jingnan also sent a message. Xiaoyu, why don't you answer Kuyan's phone? Kuyan is very worried about you and is almost crying. How come you have become so immature? And Su Yuyi's message. Sister, why don't you answer Sister Yan's phone and hang up her phone? Fortunately, she treats you as her best friend and thinks of you all the time while playing. They are blaming themselves every word for not answering the phone. Su Huanyu didn't bother to listen, but she didn't blackmail them. She just set their messages to be undisturbed. She wants to wait until the end, watching them beg for her, watching them kill each other. The construction company arrived on time, but it took her a whole morning to change the glass and other things. However, Su Huanyu won't be idle and can't leave, so she will continue to place crazy orders on Taobao and Beijing. In the afternoon, Su Huanyu continued to hoard without stopping. At the seafood market, tuna, sardine, octopus, sea cucumber, shrimp, oysters, scallops, arctic shells, river clams, flower snails, field snails, jellyfish, sea clams, squid, cuttlefish and other fish, seaweed, shrimp, shellfish and a total of 500,000 yuan were bought. Then I went to the slaughterhouse and bought 10 tons of pork, beef, lamb, chicken, fish, duck, goose, frog, and other types of eggs, including various types of eggs, duck eggs, goose eggs, and quail eggs. There are also various daily necessities, such as shampoo, toothpaste, shower gel, roll paper, trash bag, bucket, mouthwash cup, toothbrush, mouthwash, table, chair, basket, etc. Household appliances, air conditioning, fans, refrigerators, washing machines, filters, water purifiers, kettles, televisions, computers, grills, kitchen supplies, pressure cookers, fryers, rice cookers, spatulas, juicers, microwaves, air fryers, meat grinders, disinfection cabinets, exhaust fans, bowls, chopsticks, spoons, sticky plates. I also went to major factories to purchase 100,000 pieces of self-heating rice and hot pot. I opened a small stove, bought Hai Di Lao, Mo Shaoxian, and bought all kinds of small dishes and brands. I also went to a high-end restaurant to order 1,000 tables of banquet meals, which were ready and sent directly to the warehouse. I also bought her tables and chairs. After a busy week, loans from banks and various software apps have gradually come down, and suddenly, bank cards have increased by 12 million. Xiaoyu. Just as Su Huanyu picked up 2 large bags from the supermarket to eat, she bumped into Su Youyi and Shen Qian. Xiaoyu, where have you been this week? Why haven't you replied to messages? What are you buying so many things for? How much does it cost? Where did you get so much money? Shen Qian's eyes kept spinning, filled with confusion. Su Huanyu became impatient and disgusted as she looked at the two of them. She didn't even want to do anything. It's none of your business to buy so many things. A good dog won't block the way, so please move away from me. Shen Qian was shocked and couldn't believe that Su Huanyu would talk to her like this. Su Huanyu used to be obedient to her words. Shen Qian quickly winked at Su Youyi. Su Youyi continued, Sister, what's wrong with you? Are you angry because you didn't go to Disney? Actually, we all brought gifts for you, including Nangu. You also make way for me, there's a foul smell. Why, don't you guys take a shower even when you go out? It smells so bad. Su Huanyu said and rudely bumped into the two of them. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Su Youyi and the two bring them. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 6. Su Youyi and the two bring them. Su Youyi and Shen Qian widened their eyes. You stare at me, I stare at you, and quickly smell the smell on themselves. Su Youyi stamped her feet angrily, there's no smell. I obviously sprayed perfume when I went out. What does Su Huanyu mean? Su Huanyu, what do you mean? You haven't been home for many days, please explain it to me clearly. Youyi chased after her. But she was blocked by the entrance guard and couldn't enter. She angrily shouted at the security room, "Security guard, quickly open the door for me. Are you blind?" The security guard walked out and was inexplicably scolded, feeling uncomfortable and having a bad tone. "Are you the homeowners?" What do you mean? If it's not the owner, can't it enter? She's also not the owner, can she enter? Youyi pointed at Huanyu, her two big noses staring at her. She entered by swiping her card, not just as a landlord but also as a tenant. How could it be? Shenqian's attitude was very good, with a soft and gentle voice. "Uncle Security, you must have made a mistake. That person is our friend. This place is so expensive, how could she afford to rent it?" The security guard said calmly, "I don't know about that anymore. Anyway, she just swiped her card in. Sister Yen, look at her. How could she possibly afford to live here?" Shenqian thought about it and comforted Huanyu, saying, "Youyi, don't think too much. Xiaoyu just bought so many things and might be working as a nanny here." Youyi felt much better listening to these words, rolled her eyes, and said, "I knew she was working as a nanny here. Oh, she's not going to take care of people yet. She's not letting us in yet. I'll go back and tell her parents to take care of her." "Excuse me." The clear voice came from the ears of the two. The two of them looked over and immediately blushed. The man looked about 20.3 or 4, with a clear and handsome face, a head of black short hair, shining lightly in the sunset. He was wearing a white shirt with a slightly open collar and cuffs rolled up to the middle of his arms, revealing fair skin. When the two of them regained their senses, Chi Su had already walked away. They eagerly looked at Chi Su's back, which alone gave people a noble and elegant temperament. At first glance, they looked like wealthy people. "Sister Yen, he's so handsome." Shenqian pursed her lips. At that moment, she felt that Zhou Jingnan was just like that. If this man were also chasing her, she wouldn't even look at Zhou Jingnan. Huanyu walked to the first floor carrying 2 large bags of things and saw Zhou Qian. Zhou Qian took the initiative to say, "Huanyu, are you buying so many things again?" "Well, I have a big appetite," Huanyu replied. Zhou Qian and she live in the same building at 3104, and she is alone with her daughter at home, while her husband works outside. "I buy so many things every day, and those who don't know think you're going to flee," Zhou Fang sneered coldly. "Xiaofang, what are you saying?" Zhou Qian felt a bit embarrassed at her sister's rudeness. Zhou Fang ignored Zhou Qian and hugged her chest, saying, "Huanyu, I saw your post-apocalyptic video in the elevator yesterday. You don't have to watch too many videos. You really feel like the end of the world is coming, haha." Before leaving the elevator door, Huanyu retorted, "Auntie, if the end of the world really comes, then I must have died of old age, and you must have starved to death." "Oh, you laugh at me buying too much, I laugh at you not having to eat." "Auntie. Who do you call auntie? I'm only 22 years old." Before the elevator door closed, Huanyu turned around and smiled playfully, not forgetting to say, "You're already 22 years old, auntie. You're so old, no wonder there are so many frowns on your face." Chi Su stood at the innermost corner of the elevator, his mouth curling up. This little girl knows how to get angry. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. The End of the World Advance. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. The End of the World Advance. When she got home, Huanyu immediately threw away her things and lay on the sofa for a while before moving, thinking of going to the space to tidy up her things. These days, she has been busy with shopping, and her things are all thrown away directly. But when she entered the space, she suddenly realized that all the items were on the shelf themselves. And there are labels in front of each shelf, just write the name yourself, this really saves you a big deal. More importantly, the space suddenly gave her a door, and upon opening it, she discovered that it was another warehouse. This is an expansion. And what is neatly arranged inside is 1,000 tables of banquet that I ordered from a high-end restaurant. Excited, Huanyu began counting the supplies she had hoarded this week and labeled them one by one. After being busy for over 3 hours, she finally came out of the space tired and heard her Aunt Luo Sumei's phone call as soon as she came out. When the phone was answered, the female voice roared angrily, Huanyu, did you go to work as a nanny for someone else? Upon hearing this, Huanyu immediately retorted, Luo Sumei, you were the only one who worked as a nanny for them. Oh, by the way, weren't you the one who worked as a nanny for them before? The other end of the phone was almost glaring with anger. How dare Huanyu talk to herself like this? Before, Huanyu was always obedient at home, allowing herself to beat and scold. No matter how she treated her, she dared not even fart. Also, don't call me if you have nothing to do, don't call me if you have anything to do. Doodle doodle is the sound of a phone being hung up. Ah! Huanyu, this white-eyed wolf. Luo Sumei shouted angrily. Huanyu blocked their phones and casually threw them on the sofa to take a bath. Oh, wait, soon she will retaliate against them bit by bit, hoping that they will also have the same demeanor at that time. After taking a shower, she found that Zhou Jingnan had sent herself a lot of messages and even made phone calls. Is Zhou Jingnan? He hung himself up in the previous life, pretending not to know that he liked him. In the end of the life, he used himself as a gunshot, and called himself out to find food in flood, rainstorm, drought, ice disaster and other weather. Xiaoyu, something happened with you, Qian, and your sister. Where have you been all week and haven't replied to my messages? I'm very worried about you. I heard you went to work as a nanny for someone else. You're so innocent, such a good girl. I'm afraid you'll be deceived. Please contact me when you see the information. Fake and insincere. Huanyu snorted coldly and quickly output on the 26 key with her fingers. Zhou Jingnan, are you feeling flustered when you're free? Go clean the toilet when you're free. You don't mind the beauty's business, it's none of your business. Get out. The phone was silent, and Huanyu dried her hair. After a while, she went to sleep because she was still busy tomorrow. The next morning, when Huanyu woke up, she found that the weather was much colder than yesterday. Looking at the weather forecast, it was only about 10 degrees Celsius. And yesterday it was still in the 30s. Many apps on mobile phones have sent warm reminders about the cooling weather. Looking at the weather forecast again, the weather afterwards is only a dozen or even a few degrees. Many netizens are saying that this summer will turn into winter. What's going on here? Huanyu clearly remembers that there was no such thing in her past life. Does that mean the end of the world is coming earlier? It seems that she needs to speed up her stocking up. Huanyu went to the space and found a sweater to wrap around her body before leaving. She went to several down jackets, cotton shoes, cotton pants, gloves, scarves, and other factories that she had contacted yesterday. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Snack Street. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Snack Street. Half a month after the end of the world, global temperatures plummeted by over 100 degrees, just like staying at home and freezing into ice. Huanyu bought 1 million yuan worth of various winter clothing and supplies, including plush and thickened down jackets, cotton shoes and pants, gloves and scarves, snow boots, hats, warm clothes and pants, socks, etc. There is no need to mention the 4-piece bed set, including thickened coral velvet, lamb wool, etc. I asked for the thickest cotton wool, cotton core, and blanket, as well as various foot warmers, hand warmers, electric fans, heaters, humidifiers, electric heaters, coal balls, firewood, and grills. Anyway, I bought everything that could keep me warm and sent them to the large warehouse. After buying items to keep warm, Huanyu went to cosmetics and skincare factories, various makeup and skincare products, and major brands, each with thousands or even tens of thousands of sets. She bought almost 1 million sets, and it is estimated that she will not be able to use them all in her lifetime. Later, I went to the pharmacy again. In the apocalypse, I could easily make people hurt badly, so medicine. It is very important: cold medicine, anti-inflammatory medicine, stomach medicine, painkiller, antibiotics, medicine for various diseases, traditional Chinese patent medicines and simple preparations, Western medicine. She bought 500,000 yuan for various herbs such as tianma, papaya, yuanhu, mulyan, muxiang, mutong, honeysuckle, dandelion, Plantago asiatica, Pinellia ternata, lily, Angelica sinensis, chrysanthemum, celery, aloe vera, etc. There are also medical supplies, medical equipment, alcohol cotton pads, iodine, suture needles, blood pressure monitors, thermometers, blood glucose meters, electrocardiographs, electroencephalographs, oxygen bags, oxygen cylinders, biochemical analysis systems, hearing aids, ultrasound disinfection equipment, non-absorbable sutures, stethoscopes, medical X-ray films, medical X-ray protective devices, medical centrifuges, and so on. I have bought everything I can buy. Busy for another day, Huanyu was tired and hungry. She bought a pancake and squatted on the roadside to eat. Not to mention, the handmade pancakes taste really good. In the end of the world, you probably won't even be able to eat them, right? Huanyu started to catch the cake. In front of her, there were 5,000 pieces of stinky tofu, pancakes and fruits, roasted cold noodles, Orleans roasted wings, roasted chicken legs and duck legs, wolf-tooth potatoes, iron plate tofu, chuangxiang, Guangdong boiled, barbecue series, casserole series, iron plate roast, stinky tofu, baked gluten, crayfish, crossing the bridge noodles, zhohei duck, ju duck neck, senecio wonton, octopus balls, toothpick meat, bond squid, Indian flying cakes, meat buns, soy sauce cakes and so on. They paid a deposit one by one. The bosses will send them to the warehouse tomorrow. Oh, by the way, there are also milk tea shops, such as Shi Xiao Xian Chao, Ning Ji, Cha Yen Yusei, Cha Bai Dao, Haitia, Naishuez Tea, Wan Dian Dian, Duk, Mishua Bingcheng, Shanghai Anti, and so on. 5,000 servings of each flavor of milk tea have also been brought. There are also some small shops nearby, such as Spicy Hot Pot, hot and sour noodles, beef noodles, Shaxian snacks, Lan's Hao Lamian noodles, Luosafen, little pan rice, bucket rice, Gaima rice, etc. 5,000 copies of every dish, every kind of food, and every taste, as well as 10,000 copies of KFC, McDonald's, Taster, Pizza Hut, Burger King, Wallace, Tamales Pizza, Subway, etc. At 1:30 in the morning, Huanyu sighed as she looked at the still crowded Tanzhou. Tanzhou was known as the city that never sleeps, and even at 3 a.m., it was still bustling as before. However, these days are not many, and soon this place will be reduced to ruins. How many people in the crowd can survive? End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Strange Youth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Strange Youth. Huanyu bought a pile of snacks such as stinky tofu, bull chicken, lobster turkey noodles, and a glass of lemonade from the Snow City. She found a stone bench to sit down. At this time, the air was full of freedom. 3 or 2 people walked together along the road. When talking about what she saw today, there was a burst of laughter from time to time. There's a fiery gaze that seems to be looking at me. Huanyu looked over doubtfully and saw a boy wearing white long sleeves, staring at the stinky tofu in her hand and swallowing saliva. The young man is very clean, tall and thin. He looks like a college student, with a white face that shows obedience and clear eyes. He can't help but take a few more glances, and there is a little sister nearby who is secretly taking pictures of him. Do you want to eat? Huanyu asked subconsciously. The boy nodded. Then come over and eat together, Huanyu said generously. After the apocalypse, I probably won't see such handsome guys again. In the apocalypse, no matter how gentle, courteous, cultured, and cultured people used to be, they would be cunning for survival, using devilish tricks. The teenager sat next to Huanyu with good manners, and did not speak. He looked very good, but his eyes never left stinky tofu. I could see how eager he was. Huanyu then asked, do you like stinky tofu very much? If you don't mind me eating it, you can eat it together. There is toothpick beef here, and I haven't eaten pot chicken yet. The boy didn't mind, picked up stinky tofu and ate it. Perhaps he was extremely hungry. The young man was eating urgently and his face turned red from choking. Eat slowly. If it's not enough, I'll go buy it later. I'll go buy you a bottle of water first. Where the hell did this stinky kid go? Look carefully for him. If you can't find him, we can't even ask for money. Wei Gu, didn't the people above say he hasn't come out before? Why are you still running so fast? He hasn't come out before, isn't he legless? Why are you dragging around? Hurry up and find him. Almost instantly, Huanyu saw terror in the young man's eyes, and then he hurriedly picked up the food on the table, exchanged glances with Huanyu, and ran away. A man of all sizes came over with a photo and asked, have you ever seen this person? These people didn't look like good people. Huanyu pointed in the opposite direction. I just saw him go there with a piece of Wu Dalang Xiaobing, baked cake and griddle, in his hand. Let's go. Let's all go that way. The few men left in an instant in a grand manner. Huanyu glanced at the direction where the young man had disappeared but didn't stop much. She then went to the snack stand to buy some food and prepared to go back. Dee. The sharp honking of vehicles behind her made Huanyu walk inside. After a while, she heard a clear male voice, Miss Su, do you want to go home? I'll give you a ride. Suddenly turning back, it was Dr. Chi. Dr. Chi, hello, are you just off work? Huanyu warmly approached and greeted. Well, tonight's shift, come on up. Chi Su opened the car door. Huanyu looked at her luosafen, which was very delicious. Chi Su seemed to see through her and said, it's okay, come up and eat. I'll drive slowly. Huanyu didn't hesitate and got into the car. Dr. Chi, thank you, she said. Perhaps it was because of her rebirth that she changed many things. In her past life, Huanyu remembered going to see Dr. Chi and never seeing him again before the end of the world. However, in this life, she frequently met him. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Flying Snow in July. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Flying Snow in July. Chi Su's car drove slowly, and Huanyu opened half of the car window. The summer evening breeze blew slowly over her cheeks, and the wind was full of the smell of fireworks, which was also a sense of freedom. Hey! Look, it's snowing. The female voice on the roadside almost shouted out. Ah! It's really snowing. It's snowing in the big summer, take a photo of me quickly. It's so cold, let's go back quickly. It feels even colder than morning. Snowflakes fell on Huanyu's palm, and she frowned tightly. This was something that had never happened in a previous life. The phone is filled with reminders of sudden temperature drops, cold air approaching, as well as orange strong winds and red blizzard warnings. A faint voice came from Chi Su's ear, July is snowing, the weather this year is really strange. Yes, it's strange. Huanyu, who we'll meet later, is not even in the mood to eat luosafen. About a second or two later, she looked at the man driving and said, Dr. Chi, the weather forecast says it will be -10 degrees Celsius with blizzards for a few days. I'm afraid there will be a snow disaster. why don't you stock up on some food at home? It's difficult to go out and eat in this snowy day. In the previous life, in such a difficult environment, Dr. Chi was willing to lend a helping hand, and she remembered it in her heart. After the end of the world, if Dr. Chi needed anything, she would definitely help. Without hesitation, Chi-Shu spoke up and said, "Yes, why don't we just go to the supermarket tomorrow afternoon? I'll be resting tomorrow." He added, "Why don't you come with me tomorrow and buy some? I may not be able to, I have to go see my classmates tomorrow." Su Huanyu politely declined and said, "I still have a lot of food at home. Didn't our school organize a picnic a few days ago? I bought a lot of food and drink, but I probably won't be able to go now on this snowy day. I happen to be eating during this time." Su Huanyu thought that it would only be these 2 days, so she tried to buy as many things as possible and bought everything she could. Okay. After more than 10 minutes, the car arrived at the entrance of the community, and the heavy snow had not stopped yet. Some people on the road were already wearing down jackets. Chi-Su went to park. Su Huanyu got off first. As soon as the security guard saw Su Huanyu, he came over and said, "Little girl, there were many people here today who came to see you. They said they were your uncles and aunts, and they stayed here all afternoon. They were making a fuss and shouting. They said they were calling you, but no one answered. A few days ago, Su Huanyu changed her phone number, and no one except for those delivery people knew her number. Grandpa Zhang is bothering you today, but I'm not familiar with them. You don't need to pay attention to them. If they come again, just report to the police station. Isn't that right? They were making a scene here today, almost reporting to the police station." A gust of cold wind blew by, and Su Huanyu couldn't help but shiver. It seemed like the temperature had dropped again. Grandpa Zhang couldn't help but mutter, "You young people, just look good on them. Wearing so little is the easiest way to catch a cold. Look, I'm already wearing a down jacket. Little girl, you need to wear more, otherwise it's uncomfortable to catch a cold." Grandpa Zhang is a kind-hearted person. Earlier, he saw that Su Huanyu had brought many things and even helped her carry them several times. He escorted her to her doorstep. Su Huanyu said, "Grandpa Zhang, the weather forecast says there will be a blizzard in the coming days, and a red warning has been issued. It's -10 degrees Celsius. If you have time tomorrow, you can go to the supermarket to prepare some food, otherwise it will be difficult to go out and eat on a snowy day." End of this chapter.